Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by, coming to you from a chilly scene of winter to review a movie that I didn't know anything about until like July of 2023. I was at Barnes and Noble. That's when they have their Criterion sale, right? I think July. So last year, 2023, I was at Barnes and Noble, and I'm just looking for what I can, any Criterion Blu-rays I can just waste money on, and I came across a specific title, which the cover, it was actually recently released at the time, I think, within the last, within the year or year prior or something. And the cover actually was really intriguing to me. A lot of their covers I don't necessarily like because they do their own artwork and things, but this cover actually utilized, imagery and potential pictures or whatnot, maybe poster, I don't know, from the actual movie itself. Coming at you to review a movie and Blu-ray, doing one of my famed movie Blu-ray reviews. Coming your way to review the movie and Blu-ray of what's it called? Chilly Scenes of Winter. So I mean, how cool is that cover? It's got a really cool like 70s vibe to it. And what does it say here? Yeah, copyright 2023, the Criterion Collection. So this actually came out on Blu-ray last year in 2023, and the cover just said, you know what, that's probably worth $20. So I blind bought it, and the rest is history. I watched it once, not long after I got it, and recently rewatched it. I mean, if I was gonna ever review it, I knew for sure I was gonna wait until the chilly scenes of winter review season to actually review it, because I'm an anal psychotic bastard. But let's get into the review. So this movie stars John Hurd of Home Alone and Chud fame. It really makes you wonder, I didn't know that he was such an, like a whatever you want to call it, like a leading actor, years before he did Chud. Makes you wonder what he thought of being in Chud after being in a movie like this, which is more, I guess, maybe more quote-unquote classy than Chud, although I love Chud, let's be real here. This movie came out in did I already say this? If I didn't say it, it came out in 1979. John Hurd is the primary actor. Incidentally, this movie is co-produced. One of the producers is Griffin Dunne, who'd go on to be, the guy who gets attacked. One of the two guys that gets gets attacked, and later on can be seen throughout the course of the movie as it unfolds, becoming a more and more rotting corpse in the John Landis film by the name of American Werewolf in London. Incidentally, he's one of the producers on this, and he has a little cameo in this, so that's interesting. But this movie is just a quaint movie that takes place in the chilly season of winter. I don't even know if they say where the hell it takes place. I'm not exactly sure if they do say where it actually takes place, but I gotta say, like the winter scenes and stuff are really, really cool. And for my money, there could be maybe a little more outdoor winter stuff, but there's a decent amount in here for being called chilly scenes of winter. I guess if memory serves, this movie was based on a novel that came first, so that's kind of cool. It's always interesting when a movie's based on a novel, but interesting why the movie, when I first saw it, I was kind of like, and even I guess the second time, it's kind of like, why is this called Chilly Scenes of Winter? I guess it's just to explain the time of year the events take place. If I can briefly say what the movie's about, it's a nice running time of, a crisp, brisk 90 minutes. And honestly, rewatching it again, I guess maybe I was kind of not so into it when I watched it in July or after I got it in July, but watching it, in the proper time of year, I actually liked it quite a bit more my second time I watched it. The premise is just briefly this guy who's, I don't know what he is, mid to late 20s, early 30s. He's a guy he's living with who inherited this house from his grandmother, and pretty nice kind of house, and he's living with his sister who's in college. Yeah, so maybe he's mid to late 20s, I don't know. Sister's younger, probably in college, and he's got some bummy roommate who I have seen that guy before, and he's fun in the movie. This movie is just it's a really, really interesting blend of like drama and comedy. It's really got a really cool, quirky sense of humor that's very like British kind of non-American sense of humor. I didn't know how I felt about it the first time I saw it, but having seen it again recently, I'm like, you know what, this humor really does work for me, and I think it's really, really kind of unique and not so often seen in American movies kind of humor. This movie's got a really cool like low budget indie feel, and it really, really just profoundly captures late 70s. Really, yeah, it's got a homebrew kind of a feel to it, not a big studio movie feel to it. So the movie is just about this guy, how he's held depressed that just, he had this love affair with this married woman who had briefly moved out and moved into a place that she was probably renting or whatever, and then she worked where he worked, and they met and kind of hit it off. I mean, he was very, very aggressive and just kind of catapulting the relationship forward. Basically, this John Hurt is this guy who spends the whole movie depressed that he's in love with this woman and wants to get this woman back. This woman was in his life for a brief amount of time, and she's gone now, and back to the husband, and he's just depressed because he thinks they're a better match than perhaps she and her husband are. And just kind of a movie about this obsessive. It does remind me of being younger and just that prime mating season, if you will, and being obsessed with women phase. And that's a really painful. I'm happy to as I'm pushing 50, I'm happy to say, like, the being obsessed with women phase is really, really gone the way of the dodo. I mean, it helps that I'm in a relationship, I guess. I mean, if you're in a relationship, you're not, like, I guess, seeking one, I guess. So luckily, or at least if you're in the kind of relationship I'm in, you're not seeking one anyway. But yeah, it did remind me of just that pain of being in your teens and 20s, of just how the hormones are going, and it's just like, God, just being obsessed with the opposite sex and having no luck, and things. So I did I did identify with this movie in those regards. But it's a movie that both takes place in present day, as it were, and it does a lot of flashbacks to their brief relationship when when they met, and in between, and middle of it and ending or whatever. And I got to admit, especially women nowadays would, and seeing it even now, I'd say the John Hurt character definitely does come across as, every now and then as, like, obsessive and, possibly, I'm not going to say it, but a certain kind of masculinity, or I don't know, possessiveness or whatever. But he even says some things that are, like, really, really kind of appalling, that he says in jest, I guess. I'm hoping. But if you were to show this movie to college kids now, I don't know if they'd be able to, make it all the way through, or they definitely have to go sit in the safe closet after they watched it. That's for sure. But so it's just a movie about that. And I gotta say, having watched it again, the 90 minutes, it really, really, really goes by quick. I think that there's really no lulls in the movie, and the quirkiness of the main character, wonderfully played by John Hurt. I mean, who would have thought that, seeing him in Chud and just the generic dad in Home Alone 1 and 2, that it's ironic that, he did, I would regard this as the best work I've ever seen from John Hurt, and the most maybe spiritually fulfilling work as a performer that can possibly be done. I mean, when you compare him to his role in Chud and the Home Alone 1 and 2, I'm not too sure I've seen him in much else, but what I can remember seeing him in anyway, this one is really, really the best John Hurt performance that I can remember seeing him in. He does a really good job of playing this obsessed, quirky, just guy who's just all, sad about, having this woman come into his life, and then she left, and him fawning, over her, or obsessing over her and things, and wanting her back and stuff. So does he end up getting her back at the end of the movie? I guess you gotta see the movie to find that out. But I will say that I do like the way it ends. And incidentally, on the Blu-ray, there's like an alternate cut, or an alternate, not alternate cut, excuse me, alternate ending, which is just kind of like, oh, give me a break kind of ending. And I'm glad they went officially with the ending that's in the movie. And you can, there's an alternate ending, so you can see the give me a break kind of, I guess, maybe more, I don't know, Hollywood ending that they did also shoot as well. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, I guess I just wasn't in the winter mood in July. I wonder why, to necessarily see this. So I don't know why I was more humdrum to this movie when I first saw it, but having seen it again in the appropriate time of year, I'm actually going to go as high as 3 stars out of 4 stars for Airplane, or never mind, that's because there's an airplane in the sky, for Chilly Scenes of Winter. And what a kind of a cool title that just invokes winter and the chilliness the chilly scenes that can take place within the winter setting. So mostly recommended movie if you enjoy more quirky kind of, maybe it's a little Hal Ashby-ish, kind of just late 70s, very independent seeming, coming across kind of non-Hollywood, just drama slash comedy. There's a lot of funny, just quirky bits in the movie and things, and it's really a movie that, having watched it again, is really more kind of up my alley than maybe I thought it was the first time I saw it. And because planes are so distracting, I'm going to cut until hopefully there's no plane to continue the video. Onto my review of the Blu-ray itself. I think this is one of the reasons why I potentially was more not so into the movie the first time I saw it, because the Blu-ray has some glaring, I don't know if it's compression issues, I can only assume it's like compression issues, which was really shocking for 2023 Criterion Blu-ray release. The movie, the transfer as a whole looks wonderful, but it's got these inexplicable, just like pulsating every now and then, like horizontal lines that are like, pulse at a steady or sometimes not so steady rate. And it's a persistent thing that happens throughout the course of the movie, which was really disappointing. And it doesn't happen like all the time, but there's really no rhyme or reason. Like, they're just kind of random, and it's very distracting to the overall experience of the movie. I think that's actually why I was a little less, enjoyed it a little less upon my first viewing in July or August or whenever the hell I watched it. So I will say that, if you're thinking of buying, I don't know if they're going to fix that problem or if they've ever fixed it since this came out, but for Criterion in 2023 Blu-ray, to me that's something that really should never have happened, and that's a disappointment for this release, especially since the transfer overall is so beautiful. You know me, if you've watched any number of my videos, you know me, having grown up come into this world in the 70s and grown up in the late 70s and the 80s, that I really love movies from this era on 35mm film, when we can have a high-tech new scan of a really good source of film elements for a movie from 1979. It's really a beautiful experience, but what I can only assume is like compression issues of this release. I mean, it completely, I can't say completely, but definitely ruins the overall experience, that's for sure. And as far as sound-wise, obviously a low-budget movie, 1979, gonna be mono. I didn't hear any issues with the sound that I could, hear. Obviously, this is my first time seeing the movie, so I've got nothing to compare it to, but, issues definitely with the video, and no issues that I could hear from the audio. Special edition features can be seen here. Looks like we've got a new restored 4K digital transfer with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. They don't say from what film source, so needless to say, it's probably not the original camera negative if they don't mention that. You can pause and read this other stuff if you want as well. I wasn't really particularly interested in any of the special features. In the old days, I used to try to watch all the special features so I could review those, as it were, along with the movie and Blu-ray review. These days, like, if I don't care about special features, I'm not going to watch them just to say, just to review the special features. Time's short, life's short. So if you want to know what someone thinks about the special features on this release, I guess you'll have to go elsewhere. If you open up the Blu-ray, the disc looks like that, and I don't know if that's how that comes. Probably that's how that comes in there. This is what I mean, Criterion taking license, having artists do their, what I can only assume is Criterion, artwork for this release. I don't know if this would be artwork that already existed or if it was created for this release, but you've got that on one side. Other side is this. Got a thingy here with cast and this and that. I never read this stuff. Yeah, who's got time for this? I mean, I'm a movie fan, not a book fan. If not a reading enthusiast. I can read, I just don't. Just giving you an overview of this. As I've already said, I do absolutely love the cover art, though. I should have done some research and to look into whether or not this is original poster art or if Criterion created this. It's hard to say, but regardless, this cover art is actually what drew me to this title and was good enough for me to blind buy it. I did watch the trailer on YouTube, I think, first, and goofy trailer, I will admit. I don't know if is the trailer on here. Yeah, it does say trailers. So if it's the same one, you can look at the goofy trailer, which is kind of a little goofy. It kind of doesn't do the movie justice in my opinion, but I guess that pretty much does it for my movie and Blu-ray review of what's this called, Chilly Scenes of Winter. Nate coming, you know, from frickin' Minnesota, chilly scene of winter, to stop on by to review this title for you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.